Welcome. It's a pleasure to welcome each of you to this exciting book signing event. The hosts for today are Lucas Robinson, Miguel Guillen, and Jake Thompson. The hostesses are Elise Locke and Ava White. The book signing grew out of the writing assignment we did in the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. mentoring program. Our theme this year is the people in our city, how they impact our lives. Some mentees chose to do the Life History Project, where they learned the life history method and how to conduct interviews. Then, write an essay based on the interview. We were delighted and somewhat surprised at how our community leaders took the time to allow us to interview them. We had a rubric and guided the writing. As it turns out, we wanted to publish the interviews. We are honored to have introduced the book of essays to the Meadville community at the annual Dr. King birthday celebration this year, and to have the marvelous interviewees here today to sign our books. For a more official welcome, I'm going to call on Superintendent Thomas Washington to make some remarks. Mr. Thomas Washington? If he's in the room. Mr. Washington? Yeah, where are you at? Yeah. So if you would please make some remarks, Mr. Thomas Washington.
Sure.
Thank you.
Wow, I'm getting myself in trouble. Dr. Dixon, I'm sorry. I know means detention and after school or something, so I apologize. But, well, good afternoon. My name is Tom Washington. I'm the superintendent of schools. And I just want to first and foremost congratulate all of the folks here in sharing their lives with our students. But the work that the students have done, I had a chance to look at the books early on, and you guys did an outstanding job. And you're going to find that these books are really amazing. But what I love that you did is you captured the history right here in our hometown. And that's the beauty. All of these people who contribute to our community and do outstanding work, I thank you for what you do every day. And I know a lot of you personally, so, but it's really great to see you honored, and I really appreciate the work that you guys have done. And I can't forget all of these people from Allegheny College who come in and day out and work with our students. I want to thank you as well. And also our principal and Dr. Dixon, we wouldn't be able to be where we are without you. So I just want to thank everybody, and I'm sure you're going to love these books once you get a chance to take a look at them. So thank you, guys.
Next, I would just like to call on Nicola Mohan, who is the Assistant Bonner Coordinator at Allegheny College. So if you could just stand, and we would thank you, because thanks to her, she really helps coordinate the MLK program and our Allegheny mentors. So thank you. And we also have a distinguished parent in the midst of our parents here today, Ms. Kim Gunn. Would you please come up and make some remarks? Yeah.
Hello. I just want to speak. I'm hoping that I speak for all of the parents who are here today, that I got a chance to read this book, and the essays and the extensive work that these students did, it is to be commended. The program itself is just a wonderful program. And I hope I don't cry when I do this. I had Mrs. Dixon. She was my teacher, and she was my principal. And Mr. Amato. These people have been in our community. They have helped not just this generation, my generation, many generations. And it's just such a great thing to see this whole entire program come together and be put together by such great people who just teach such wonderful things, character building. And all of the things that these people have said, our community leaders, the life lessons that they've given to our children, it's just, you can't say anything better. It's just wonderful. Some of the things that I wrote on the back of this, just some of the highlights from the book, Mr. Ron Cole. Let the life you live speak for you. Wonderful. Be self-motivated. Believe in yourself and find ways to help others by being involved in your community, Mrs. Jax. Stay positive. You can listen to the cynics and the doubters and believe that success is impossible, or you can know that with faith and with optimistic attitude, all things are possible. Mr. James Shield. These people spoke to our children in such kind and wonderful ways and shared their lives with them. And for a parent, that's the best thing that you could ever have to help have that support. And so I just want to say thank you to Crawford Central, to Mrs. Dixon, for everything that you've given to me, my family, my children, and maybe the children to come. Thank you. I hope I speak for everybody, the parents.
Thank you, Ms. Gunn. The order today will be to introduce the interviewee. Then, the interviewee will read his or her favorite portion in the book. Following this, we will have a brief question and answer period. Our principal, Mr. Scott Lynch, will make acknowledgments. The program will then end with the exciting book signing, delicious refreshments, and great conversations. And now, Emily Smith, our 7th grade leader, will introduce Commissioner John Amato. Emily?
Good afternoon, everyone. I had the opportunity to hear Commissioner Amato speak when he was a celebrity speaker at the MLK program. He shared many of his life experiences, from his time in the Army to his love for teaching and coaching, and many of these experiences are reflected in the book. I would like to express our appreciation to Commissioner Amato for taking the time to participate in this project and for sharing his life philosophy with our students. Commissioner Amato, would you please read your favorite portion of the essay, citing the page number and paragraph?
Sure.
Thank you.
Be page 7 and be paragraph, starting at paragraph 3. Returning home, he accepted a coaching position and substitute teaching position in the Crawford Central School District. He worked there until he accepted a teaching position in 1991 with Crawford Central School District. As a social studies teacher from 1991 to 2000, he enjoyed facilitating project-based learning with his students. His students learned by creating through film, panels, teamwork, but always thinking and researching outside the box. This is maybe my favorite part. He was influenced by Armandea Dixon, the principal at the time. She supported teachers in getting whatever they need to do their jobs. She included students, teachers, and parents in the decision-making process. More than anything, she respected everyone and listened to their voices. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Amato. Yes.
Commissioner Amato was reading, and we need to pass out the books.
Okay.
So, okay.
You can.
And we could not, Commissioner Amato read this again so that they can.
Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna have Commissioner.
Could we pass out the book?
Yeah. So we're going to have Commissioner John Amato come back up, and we will follow along with him as he reads his favorite portion in the book. Commissioner John Amato.
This isn't fair. I got choked up when Mrs. Gunn was speaking. You know, I got a little choked up, and then I had to work my way through this, and I got to do it again. So, returning home, he accepted a coaching position and substitute teaching position in the Crawford Central School District. By the way, this is page 7. I'm sorry. He worked there until he accepted a teaching position in 1991 with Crawford Central School District. As a social studies teacher from 1991 to 2000, he enjoyed facilitating project-based learning with his students. The students learned by creating through film, panels, teamwork, but always thinking and researching outside the box. Again, this is the most important part. He was influenced by Armandea Dixon, the principal at the time. She supported teachers in getting whatever they needed to do their jobs. She included students, teachers, and parents in the decision-making process. More than anything, she respected everyone and she listened to their voices. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Amato. Next, Gannon McDonough, 8th grade mentor, will introduce Reverend Melissa Burnett. Gannon?
Good afternoon. It was my pleasure of interviewing Reverend Melissa Burnett. I had a great time learning about her life story while she was kind enough to share hot chocolate and muffins at her home with Samaya and I. I was especially inspired by her philosophy of always having a positive impact on others. Reverend Burnett, would you please share your favorite portion of the book, citing the page number and paragraphs?
Thank you, Gannon. I believe that the most important part of my interview is on page 11. And it would be the final paragraph and the poem that's there. And as Gannon already stated, that my philosophy is you can be and you can do whatever you want in life. And I must add that sometimes it takes other people to help you get there. But you have to work hard to achieve your goals. A good citizen creates a better community and a better world. And education is the key to success. I also gained my inspiration by listening to an old gospel singer, Mahalia Jackson. I don't know if you know her or heard of her, but she sang a song that always inspired me. That if I could help someone as I pass along, if I can cheer someone with a word or a song, if I can show someone who is traveling wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. If I can do my duty as a good man ought, if I can bring back beauty to a world upwrought, if I can spread love's message as the Master taught, then my living shall not be in vain. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Burnett. Next, Samantha Goldsburg, an 8th grade mentee, will introduce Mr. Mark Feely. Samantha?
I had the pleasure of interviewing Mr. Mark Feely. He works as a horticulturalist at Ernest Seeds. One really important life lesson he told me was always take someone along for the ride. He was eager to share his stories while we were talking, and they were all very insightful. I'll take all the lessons he shared with me and carry them throughout my life. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce Mr. Mark Feely. Will you please read your favorite portion of the interview, citing the page number and paragraph?
I'd like to take you to the bottom of page 14, and we're going to... And I want to commend Samantha on taking home the most important point. Take someone along for the ride. By the way, I do remember your brother. I remember meeting him, and he was in my group on a field trip years ago. Had to be reminded of that. What a nice young man. Mark attended Townville Elementary School, where he was blessed to have Valerie Hassett for first grade. In the classroom, Miss Hassett was kind, patient, and understanding. For Mark and many of the other students, she set a tenor that learning could be fun and that their teacher loved them. Consequently, she was Mark's favorite teacher. Later in elementary school, Mark had his first experience as part of a choral group. The enjoyment he found from this activity has led to a lifetime involvement in choral performance. He has cited his involvement with choral performance as being key to the development of his stage presence, which he uses as a public speaker. At Maplewood Middle School, he had Mr. Whitlatch for homeroom. On inclement days when outdoor recess was not reasonable, Mr. Whitlatch played wildlife biology, stewardship, and hunter safety films for his students. These movies, produced by the National Rifle Association, provided a spark of interest in wildlife that became a flame upon Mark's arrival in Meadville to begin his professional career. Teachers, thank you for what you do. I wish that every student could experience a Valerie Hassett in kindergarten, first grade, so that they would always love school. Sometimes students, something we don't understand where we're taking it, where we're being exposed to it, and it makes a huge difference down the road. I've never hunted, but I've used every bit of the stewardship that came out of those films in my career. Thank you all for being on the tour that came to the tour, and thank you for the write-ups you did.
Thank you, Mr. Feely. Next, Nathaniel Gunn, a 7th grade mentee, and one of the mentees who introduced the book at the Dr. King annual dinner this year will introduce Mr. Gabbo. Nathaniel?
I had the pleasure of interviewing and writing about Mr. Joseph Galbo III, Chief Tax Assessor of Crawford County. Mr. Galbo was a very joyful person and loved to talk about what an amazing and important job he does for the community. I enjoyed listening to stories he told from previous years before, because they all helped shape him into the person he is today. Mr. Galbo, will you please read your favorite part of the interview, stating the page number and paragraph?
Thank you, Nathaniel. And I have to point out that, again, the job that Nathaniel and the other two students did at the MLK dinner in January was a credit to the entire mentoring program and the wonderful job that it does. And unfortunately for Nathaniel, he didn't have the wonderful food at Reverend Burnett's house in the tax assessment office when he came in. But from that standpoint, it was a joy for me to be able to meet him. And I have to reiterate what Mrs. Gunn said regarding Meadville. I do believe that it is and has been the beloved community that Dr. Dixon sees and that will be celebrated in this room tomorrow night. And it is my pleasure to read my favorite passage of Nathaniel's work on the 5th paragraph on page 19 toward the bottom. Mr. Galbo is active in the Crawford County community. He has faithfully served as the chair of the Crawford County Memorial Day Parade and Observance, facilitating one of the grandest events of the year. He's also served as a member and president of the Meadville Noontime Rotary Club, vice president of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Scholarship Fund, past member of the United Way of Crawford County, member of the Wolves Club in Meadville, and a member of the Crawford County Community Council. He has been influenced by Bishop Sheen, Judge Anthony Vardero, and John, you stole mine, Dr. Armindia P. Dixon, and Johnny Cash. Through his years of managing and administering, he has developed the philosophy, properly manage the resources allotted to you. We have a responsibility to be good stewards. Thank you, Nathaniel, for honoring me by including me in this book.
Thank you, Mr. Gabbo. Next, Alexandra Brady, 7th grade mentee, will introduce Fire Chief Evan Haskell. Alexandra?
Good evening, everyone. I had the opportunity to interview Sorry. I had the opportunity to interview the fire chief, Evan Haskell, and got to learn about his life and his career. During the interview, he was kind and willing to share his experiences. It was nice to get to know him as the fire chief, but also as a citizen of the Meadville community. Chief Haskell, can you please read your favorite part of the interview, citing the page number and paragraph?
Good afternoon. My favorite paragraph is on page 22, and it would be the fourth paragraph down. I chose that simply because I'm honored and proud to be leading a department that is vital to serving and saving lives and property in our community. On December 16, 2014, he was appointed to serve as acting chief following the sudden death of Fire Chief Larndo Tooney Hedrick. Then on Wednesday, January 4, 2016, Haskell was named Meadville Fire Chief. In the position of chief, he realizes that traumatic experiences happen when lives and property are lost. However, it is rewarding when firefighters are able to save lives and property. It is rewarding to teach fire safety and prevention. He knows that firefighting itself is inherently dangerous, but with the firefighters' training and safe equipment, they are able to reduce the risk of injury and death. Thank you.
Thank you, Fire Chief Haskell. Even though Miss Emily Jajax could not be here today, Jake Thompson, 8th grade leader, will introduce Miss Emily Jajax. Jake.
I met Miss Jajax when we both decided to join the Beloved Community Fair Committee, and it is there that I saw her commitment to her community. She was gracious enough to allow me to interview her for the book, where we met at my school's cafe at GFC, where we shared coffee and she shared her life story. From Meadville to traveling to other places in the country and now returning back to Meadville, I'm honored to introduce Ms. Jajax.
Thank you, Jake. Gabby Dorsey, 7th grade mentor, will introduce Mr. James Shields. Gabby.
Aiden Mahoney, my mentee, had the pleasure of interviewing Mr. James Shields. He is not only a leader in the field of radio communication, but he was also one of our celebrity speakers this year. During his visit to our program, we learned so many riveting things about his work and his community service. We're honored to present to you Mr. James Shields.
Emily Smith, 7th grade leader, will now introduce Mayor Stearns. Emily.
Mayor Stearns has been an important part of the MLK program this year, from being a celebrity speaker and sharing his love of Meadville with our students to participating in the interview process. We would like to thank Mayor Stearns for being here today. Would you please read your favorite portion of the interview, citing the page number and paragraph?
Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here. I just want to take a quick moment and thank Sierra for the wonderful job she did when she interviewed me. It was one of the best interviews I think I've had besides the Tribune. So, I appreciate that. She did such a wonderful job on the entire thing. It's kind of hard to pick a certain area, but I guess I'm going to go to page 34 and it'll be the middle paragraph. It says, Mayor Leroy Stearns believes in listening to the people, including the youth, young people. The mayor is personally involved with the Meadville Area Recreation Complex Skate Park and My Meadville, a program where it's committed to sustaining public engagement in our city. I feel that's the most important thing to me because I was elected to represent everybody from your age all the way up to my age. That's quite a distance. But it's very important. And the only other thing I'd like to say is leave the world a little bit better than you found it and believe in yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Stearns. Jake, 7th grade Sorry. Yes. Jake Thompson, 8th grade leader, will introduce Police Chief Michael Towton. Jake. Oh, Gannon. Okay.
I also had the pleasure of interviewing Chief Michael J. Totten. Chief Totten is one of the many first responders that protect our Meadville community each and every day. I enjoyed learning about his life growing up around Meadville and participating in a variety of school sports. Chief Totten, could you please share your favorite portion of the interview?
Hello. My favorite portion can be found on page 36, would be the middle paragraph. High school was an essential milestone in the timeline of Michael's life. In addition to his best friend Jason Kellogg, Ed Pardee was also become a good friend. Among countless outstanding educators, Michael remembers Mr. Sherry, Mr. Nowakowski, Mr. Marvin, Mrs. Hogan, and Mr. Ryer. During high school, Michael's goal was to be a police officer. Actively engaged within his community, he continues to wrestle and attend St. Mary's Church and St. Bernadette's Church, where he is still a member today. Some critical incidences that occurred in his life during high school included knee surgery as a result of a wrestling injury and the death of his great-grandmother. After graduating from Sagertown High School in 1994, he set out to follow his dream of becoming a police officer. The first step in achieving his goal was to attend Edinburgh University of Pennsylvania, where he majored in criminal justice. During this time, Michael held a handful of part-time jobs, such as working on a maintenance crew at Allegheny College during the summers and being a dishwasher at the county home. After graduating from Edinburgh University in December of 1998, he was hired as a probation officer and was eventually stationed at the Meadville area senior high school. He remembers this time being quite an eye-opening experience while working with less fortunate youth. In May of 2000, he was hired as a police officer for the Meadville City Police Department, where he dispatched until attending the Mercyhurst University Police Academy. He attended the program where he graduated with honors. Returning to the police department, he became a patrolman. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Towton. Now, Savannah Major, a 7th grade mentee, will introduce Mr. Lon Wilson. Savannah.
Good afternoon. I had the pleasure of interviewing Mr. Lon Wilson. Mr. Wilson told me about his interesting life and accomplishments. He gave me a lot of advice and kept me laughing through the interview. I am very grateful for the opportunity to interview such an important member of our community. Mr. Wilson, will you please read your favorite portion of the essay, citing the page number and paragraph?
Thank you, Savannah. That was wonderful. I enjoyed the time I spent with you and Dr. Dixon and Emily Smith. It was a wonderful time. My life does read like a comic book in a lot of ways, and it was interesting to see that story put down on pages. Again, just feel privileged being around you good people up here on this panel as well. So it is a privilege. So living in Meadville has been a privilege. It's a great town. I'm going to read from page 38 and real quick from page 40. Sharon, his divorced mother, raised him until he was 7 years old. She married Bruce Parker when Lon was 7 years old. Bruce was a great father for him and his older brother. Let's skip ahead to page 40, down near the bottom. Mr. Wilson believes Obla Di Obla Da, a song by the Beatles, which means life goes on. It's all about not letting things bother you. It's about continuing to do the best you can. And he tells us not to be afraid to do what we want to do in life. Don't let a barrier stand up in your way, and don't be afraid. And don't be afraid to do the things that you're afraid to do, because that's how you learn. If you don't have any bumps and bruises along the way, you know, that's where you learn. That's where you get the experience. I think everybody up here would tell you that. And to tie this in with my father and my stepfather, sometimes you don't get to decide who's put in front of you to love. And that's one of the greatest experiences, and one that resonates with me. I was put in front of him, and he was put in front of me, and he wasn't given a choice. Here's your 2 new sons. And he accepted that, and he owned that. So, and sometimes you don't like the situation, but you never get to choose who it is that's in front of you. But learn about them, learn to love them, and it all works out pretty good. So, but thank you again, Savannah. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Now, Mr. James Shields, will you please come up and cite and share your favorite portion of the book? Mr. Shields.
Thank you very much. My favorite part of the book is about looking forward in life instead of where I've been. I think the better days are ahead still. And the one thing is on page 28. I actually have this on my business card, the back of my business card, and I have to look at it daily to remind myself. It's like positive thinking, right? You gotta look at something positive or think something positive every day. And one is stay positive. You can listen to the cynics and the doubters and believe that success is impossible, or you can know that with faith and optimistic attitude, all things are possible. And 2, when you wake up in the morning, complete the following statement. My purpose today is. What are we going to do today? What's a good purpose? What's our purpose today? Don't, take it one day at a time. Take it in baby steps. Life is too precious. Take a morning walk of gratitude. It will create a fertile mind ready for success. 4, instead of being disappointed about where you are, think optimistically about where you are going. Eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a college kid with a maxed out credit card. Keeps you healthy, wealthy, and wise. Transform adversity into success by deciding that change is not your enemy but your friend. In the challenge, discover the opportunity. 7, make a difference in the lives of others. That's why we're here, right? It's not about us, it's about other people. And how everybody up on this panel here, they've impacted people's lives, and I'm sure you have too. We all do. It's the little things. And it's sometimes just opening a door for someone that needs a hand. Believe that everything happens for a reason and expect good things to come out of a challenge experience. You can see the glass half empty or half full. It's how you look at things in life. Don't waste your precious energy on gossip. Energy vampires, as I call them, they suck the life out of you. Issues of the past, negative thoughts, or things that you cannot control. Instead, invest your energy into the positive present moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shields. It has been so enjoyable listening to our interviewees. Let's applaud them again. Now we have a few minutes for questions. Any interviewee is welcome to answer. Savannah?
Would you do an interview like this in the future?
Yes. Yeah, most definitely.
Absolutely. Yes. Maybe one time was enough.
Morgan?
What did you think about the writing process?
So she said, what did you think of the writing process?
Well, it was easy for us.
I can answer that. That was it was difficult reading about yourself. You know, it was strange, and you know, I appreciate the work that it took to do that. You know, to translate. You know, if you're looking at a film of yourself or a book of yourself in life, and somebody writing that, that was an amazing process. I've never experienced anything like that, so that was a wonderful job. So I don't know everybody else felt about that, but that was.
That was tough part, reading about yourself.
Yes.
It's something that,
Yeah, I think the important thing is that it made us look how quick time in our lives have moved forward, and that'll happen with you, unfortunately. So enjoy life while you can.
I think also it showed just the amazing impact that Dr. Dixon has had on this community for so many individuals. I won't say for so many years, because that, like the mayor, that kind of dates both of us. We're still young at heart.
The questions that you were asking are very useful questions as you go forward in your careers. something that can really open up doors is when you're in an interview, a job interview, and you can get the person on the other side of the table talking about themselves. Some very powerful elements there.
Yes. Any other questions? Yes.
How did you feel when the mentees interviewed you?
How did you feel when the mentees interviewed you?
Honored.
Professional.
I had a lot of fun.
I enjoyed it as well. I enjoyed talking to people and meeting people in different places.
Oh, I enjoyed it immensely. My interviewee was a little shy, so I have a way of engaging people. And so before my interview was finished, we were best friends. So I loved it.
Any last minute questions? Yes.
Was it hard telling somebody your life story or what happened in your life?
I thought it made me think of some things I hadn't thought of in a long time, especially going back to elementary school and some of the relationships I had back then. And then again realizing that who some of the people were that influenced me and made me who I am. So.
Yeah, I was in the same class as John, and just reading your thoughts on some individuals that I knew but hadn't thought about in a while there too. Yeah.
Made me feel gratitude.
We have time, yes.
What was your favorite part of the whole process?
Meeting you. Meeting the people that interviewed us.
I agree with that.
The conversation we had.
Yep.
Reliving our past.
Yeah. I guess I have a question for the people that interviewed. Did you guys enjoy it? They're nodding their heads, so yeah.
We have time for one last question. If anyone has any. Gannon.
Why did you all agree to be interviewed in the first place?
Can't say no to doctors.
That's the most important thing you'll learn when Dr. Dixon asks, you say yes.
I'll never go wrong.
And there's a Dr. Dixon in every community.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Life's easy once you figure out who it is.
Yeah.
Usually a she.
Okay, that was a good last question to end on. So now, Mr. Lynch, our principal, is very supportive of the mentoring program, and we are very appreciative that he takes the time to care about us. Mr. Lynch, will you please come up and make acknowledgments for us?
First and foremost, I want to thank the interviewees. Taking the time out of your busy schedules, really letting our students get to know you as people, where you've been, what you've done, and how you're impacting not just the community but other people's lives. And for that, I am grateful and very appreciative of you taking that time and sharing it with them, because your stories that were in there are all incredible. And the incredible part was all the other people that had an impact in your life. And so I'm going to kind of turn to the mentees and the mentors. As the mentors are impacting our mentees and doing it, I just want to continue to push you in the direction of knowing how much that you can impact not only just your peers but others, not just today but tomorrow and down the road. So it's kind of like a pay it forward, what you're doing with them. I hope that all of you get involved in your community, treat people with love and respect, and do the same that they have done within your community, wherever that may be. Whether it's, for some of you, it's back to Meadville, right? Some of you have been here forever, but some of you may leave Meadville. But wherever that may be, give back to your community and to the people in that community. So again, I want to say thank you, and I'd like everybody to give them a big round of applause for doing this. The Martin Luther King program is a collaboration between Crawford Central School District, the Martin Luther King Scholarship Fund, and Allegheny College. So I'd like to thank them as well for all their efforts in giving to this program. Also, I'd like to thank our faculty, staff, our students again, Superintendent Mr. Washington, our secretary, Nutrition Inc. for the wonderful food that we will be eating afterwards, as well as the collaborators. And then a special thank you to Armstrong Cable and the Meadville Tribune. They have provided us with great coverage of this program and promoting it and moving it forward. Above all, I want to congratulate the mentors and the mentees for your wonderful work, your dedication and commitment to the program, and the writings that were in this book. Outstanding. So thank you. And one last acknowledgement, and that's to Dr. Dixon. You know, a lot of things have been said, and we've said them for years, and we're going to continue to say them, to look at the impact that she makes into people's lives each and every day. And yes, you guys are correct when Dr. Dixon asks, it's yes. I have learned that on a regular basis. But her energy is just incredible, and the drive that she has for so many years. I think that that is a lesson that we all need to take in our lives and continue that on each and every day until the day, unfortunately, we are no longer here. And I just want to leave this with the mentors and the mentees. There's a quote that's gone viral recently, and it was by Tim Tebow. A lot of people doubt Tim Tebow, don't believe in him, want to see him fail. And he come out and just said recently, he said, and I can't quote it exactly, but they said that he can't, he shouldn't, and that he won't. And so you think about that. You can't, you shouldn't, and he won't. And what he has to say to that is, I'd rather live my life and have tried than to regret having never tried. So I think that's a pretty powerful statement. When people doubt you, when people don't believe in you, when they say you can't, even if you don't make it all the way, you won't live with regret. So thank you. I want to thank everybody. I also want to thank the parents for your support of the program and your sons and daughters, and thank you for attending this event. Thank you.